Hi, in today's video, we're going to be going into the previous project that we created to start looking at what happens while the project is running. So let's go into the Manage Project section and we can see that project here being the test one. If I wanted to, I can view the projects that I currently have going as either cards, a list, or as a Gantt chart. With the Gantt chart, I have the ability to then open it up and see the individual phases and tasks that make it up. So let's go ahead and open this project. Now to begin, you'll get an overview screen. And in the overview screen, you're seeing a project details section that tells me things like how many phases there are, the tasks, the milestones, and how far we're through them. We also get a brief intro into the information about what is the stage of this project, who is running it, the different dates, and the customer. We can see some information like the time logged against this project, the planned versus actual start date, and the planned versus predicted end date. You then have a finance section that will tell me things like the project value, project budget, expenses, income, and estimated profit margin. Down here, we have some new dashboard features coming out, so I look forward to those. They'll be really great for kind of analyzing your projects further. You could also view your project as a Gantt chart, so you can see the individual pieces. If you were to move around one of these, it would update the end and start dates for that particular phase, task, or milestone. You can also view it as a Kanban board, and you are able to move the different tasks around and they will update their status as you do that. So a really great way to visually see how far projects are along. The team section behaves much the same as it does during the setup phase. You can click manage and start to delete or add team members, contract workers, or teams. The cost buckets also behave the same. By clicking manage, I could import a template, edit cost buckets, delete or add cost buckets. You can also download it as an Excel. The estimation section is also very similar to when you set up. By clicking manage, I can then go ahead and duplicate categories, make alterations, delete, all that kind of stuff that we were doing during the initiation of the project. My structure is also the same. I can click manage and start to add phases. I could add a task here, for example, and let's say install. Let's set it for the 29th. Just added someone to it. And let's put this above. Just like that, we have gone ahead and added a task to one of our phases. Really easy to do. So you can do this during the project. Suddenly you realize there's a task that needs to be added to or tracked. You can go ahead and add it. Now, the BOQ section is also very similar. I've got my different phases. I can go into my BOQ. I could see the different phases here at the bottom, and I can go ahead and add items to a particular phase. So if I wanted to, I could add a cost here, and let's just say we wanted to add an hour of the design cost here. We could just go ahead and do that, click save, and just like that, we have added it to the BOQ for that particular phase. Now, this is where it starts to change a little bit. The material planning section will take everything that you need to procure and everything you need to produce and bring it together so you can see that list. And it's broken up into 4 sections. The all section is the total list. This is everything that was either requiring to be procured or requiring to be produced or manufactured. There's a to plan section, which means that these items are yet to be procured or produced. So if you can imagine, if I've started procuring or producing something from the all list, it won't appear on the to plan list. One is showing you the holistic list. The other one is showing you only what is left over. Let's go ahead and order this item quickly. So I'm going to create an order and select the ones I want to put in the order. I click create. I can set an order plan number, which warehouse it's going to, and a required by date. I click confirm, and we've gone ahead and created an order plan for that. But we also have to make something. We're required to make 2 of these products. So let's go ahead and create a production plan for those. I select what I want to produce. I can change how many I want to produce, and I click create. Just like that, the system is now creating a production scenario, and it is going to tell me now that we have a fair amount of shortfall items, around £14,000. So I can now create this production plan, and I can decide, am I going to create a flexible or fixed? Let's say this is going to be a fixed production plan, and the scheduled date we said was the 13th, delivery date by the 20th. I can then click to create the order plan, which means we would then go and make a list of everything that we're short, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to create the production plan. My procurement team will create the order plan later. So I click create, and a production plan has been made. So let's go back into our project. And now we're back at the material planning section. I can see that there's nothing to plan in the to order section, and there's nothing to plan in the to make section. If we go into procurement, I can see that there's an order plan for this item, but we haven't started procuring it. And there is a production plan for the 2 products we need to make, but we haven't gone ahead and started making work orders. As you'll see in our other video, we show you how to do order plans and how to carry them through, and how to do production plans and carry them through. So to see either of these more in depth, please go to the manufacturing playlist. And to see the procurement more in depth, please go through to the procurement playlist. But that shows you how easy it is to create order plans and production plans from inside the project. So in some ways, your project manager can be the person who's instrumental in driving when things are being procured for, or when different things are being manufactured. Let's go into site operations. Now, site operations allow you to essentially decide when things go onto site. So this is the management of what is required on site and when it goes there. The first section is called the all section. This is the same as before. It's a list of everything, regardless if it has gone to site or not. So this is the total list. Then there's a required on site section. This means that these are still required on site. So we need to create transfer requests to send these to site. So let's say it's this item here. I can create a transfer request for it and say required on site today. I can click confirm, and just like that, a transfer request has been made that gets sent to site. Here we can see the transfer requests, and if I open up, I can see the one that I've just created. I can see my requested quantity is 2, the transferred quantity so far is 0, remaining to transfer is 2, and received on site is 0. These transfer requests have to be processed through the transfer section, which is covered in another video. But as they are transferred, what happens is they go into the receiving area. We create GRNs, which are goods received notes, and we get a list of previous transfer requests. You will then also have inventory on site. So as items get transferred onto your site, you'll have an inventory list of those items. You then have a consumption section. So these are the things that are still required to be consumed on site. They're part of the project. So once they get to site, they'll be there. Then you will consume them. So here I can see there's a BOQ quantity of 2, but 0 have been consumed. So it first goes to on-site. Once it's on-site, it can be consumed. Once it's consumed, it goes into the consumption log. Once something has been fully consumed, it is essentially part of the project. So the way you can view this is if we were building something on site and we sent 4 bricks, and those bricks went into the building, they have therefore been consumed. They are part of the project now. They are not inventory on site anymore. And then finally, there is a stock movement section where we can track all of those stock movements. We then have a costing section where we can create purchase orders, expense, and timesheets. We can create a purchase order by grabbing the supplier that we want to create the PO against. We can put in a supplier reference number and a purchase order number. We say which project it's for and which warehouse. We can estimate out the time of arrival and start to add line items to that PO. So this is really handy when you're creating purchase orders against things that are going into the project. What you can also do is submit expenses. So we have the ability to submit an expense, give it a name, a category of expense. So for example, if we wanted to say this was maybe a fuel category expense, I can go ahead and just add that easily. I can say the total claim back amount. I can link it to a phase or a task, or leave it as a general expense claim. I can add notes, upload a file, be it a receipt or an invoice. I can also add an external link if there's a link to the receipt or invoice. And then what I can also do is start to put the expense items down here. So for example, I could say this was fuel quantity was 10, the unit of measure was liters, unit cost was 2, tax rate was 12%. And just like that, we can submit this expense, and that claim is then against my name. There it is. And then finally, we have timesheets. What will happen is, as employees start to work on the project and allocate time to the project, we will see that here and see a list of the different employees that have allocated time to this project. In the billing section, we are able to create quotes, see sales orders, pro forma invoices, and invoices. So let's go ahead and create a quote. So the sales quote had most of its information filled out for us. What we'll do is select the shipping address, the expiry date for the quote, the requested delivery date for this particular part of the project or the project itself. We can select if there's a deposit, and if there's a deposit type of percentage or fixed amount. We can set what phase we are doing a quote for. And what we can also do is set if this quote requires fulfillment. So if there's a fulfillment aspect, we turn this on. And at any point, if you see a little icon, you can open up and it'll explain it further. So for example, here, when it requires fulfillment, you will then need the fulfillment module to be open to send off the sales order. Finally, I can start putting order contents into this. And what's really helpful here is I can use the source button to actually import different parts of the project that I've already set up into the quote. So I can either import cost buckets, estimations, or the BOQ. If I was to import cost bucket, I could select a cost bucket like the design one we set up. And if I click import, it's going to go ahead and import that design cost bucket. So here we could, for example, create a quote against the cost bucket. But let's see what happens if I do an estimation. Let's say we do an estimation and we did the design phase and the manufacturing phase. Those were the two phases we set up with estimates of what we think went into the project. What we can do is also import all estimations. And what this means is that we could have, instead of selecting the individual ones, just select import all, and it will get all the estimation phases. What it also gives you an option to do is explode estimations into individual costs. So if I don't click this, what will happen is I will get two line items being design phase with the total cost from the estimate and the manufacturing phase with the total cost from the estimate. But if I click explode, it's actually going to go ahead and import all the individual parts of it. So here you can see we're not seeing, just the design phase. We're seeing everything that went into the design phase and everything that went into the manufacturing phase. Individual line items are all here. So if you want to show your customer what is made up of each phase, you can, or you can not select that and just import the phases themselves. It depends on what type of operation you do during quoting. Now let's do the final source, BOQ. With the BOQ, you can select different phases. So let's say we did initiation and manufacturing. You get the same option. Do you want to explode the BOQ into individual cost items? And if you don't select that, it's simply going to have the initiation and manufacturing phase. So here on the bottom, I can see that I just imported the BOQ initiation and manufacturing phase. So it didn't explode them out. So that's a really interesting way to show you how this quoting function works and why it's so useful, because you can pull directly from the different parts of your project. You can also apply general tax rates across everything, and you can set if you want to do it in the customer currency or your own currency. You also have the ability to attach terms and conditions, additional comments, and display tax. So that's showing you how you create a quote. So here's that quote that we just created, and we've now sent this off to the customer. Maybe we want to send it again. We can just click send email and it'll go directly out of the system. We come back and edit the quote, download as an Excel, download as a PDF, for example. And we can see here is that quote that we could download and send to them. Now, let's say they come back and they agree to the quote. It's time to create it into an order. So what we do is we click the little button here that says create a sales order from quote. It will auto populate all the information. We can add any images, PDFs, Excels into this and just drag and drop them so that we can prove the confirmation for the sales order. We can then edit the terms and conditions and additional comments section if we see fit, and we can create. And just like that, that sales quote has become a sales order that the customer can then go ahead and be sent. We can then create a pro forma invoice or a normal invoice against that sales order. All of this functionality is very similar to what is in the sales module. So if you want to see a deep dive into how this all functions, feel free to watch the videos in our sales module, because we got deeper into all of this functionality around pro forma invoices, sales invoices, and the quote and ordering sections. Finally, we can see the notes section again, and I can see the different notes we created during the start. We could go ahead and add another note. For example, let's say we wanted to go ahead and add a note underneath general, and it said pin code for the door is 0000. And just like that, we can add notes for our team to see. So we can store general information here that can come back to at any point in time. And then all the documents are still here. So we can come back, add more documents, add more folders. All of that functionality is still here. And that's really how you run your project. From inside here, you have the ability to do your procurement, to send production plans to your production team, manage site operations, manage your costing and billing, and let everyone keep track of all the tasks and phases that are inside the project. Thank you for watching. Please move on to the next videos to see us explore more of the other sections of the projects module.